Women usually take care of contraception within a relationship, but some men do, and they're called dads. I'm not sure about abortions being available 3 months into pregnancy. I think they should be available right the way up to GCSEs. I like the phrase performed an abortion. Do you think anyone's ever gone, ta-da? A lot of people are worried that the artificial creation of sperm in laboratories means that men are essentially obsolete now. Women don't need men anymore because they can artificially create sperm in laboratories. What do you think about that, ladies? Yay! Luckily, they keep the artificially created sperm in jam jars. So you still need us to... I'm not sure if that's exactly how artificial insemination works. But you get the gist. There's nothing rude about gist. You're making your own jokes now. I was in Edinburgh last year. I saw a sign in a window. It said, watch batteries fitted. I thought it was probably not the best show on. There's a sign up in my street saying the priorities of the traffic lights have changed. There's another sign saying, children, please drive carefully. I was driving on the motorway, I saw a sign on the back of a truck, a little sticker, said, how am I driving? I thought, well, if you don't know... I've got a sticker on the back of my car, it says, keep your distance. I just need a little space right now. It's not you, it's me. You've got a question?
No, I've got one of those, right?
You've got one of those?
In the curry house near where I live.
Yeah.
Try one of our curries, you'll never get better.
That is fucking brilliant. Do you think they mean it to be like that? Sorry, I don't know if everyone heard. It was the, in the curry house near you live. It says, try one of our curries, you'll never get better. That is fantastic. I saw a sign in the park. It said, remove dog nuisance, so I shot a poodle. I was in Australia. I saw a sign that said, convenience store, 75 miles. No, I'm not even going that way. My favourite road sign of all time, it's a red triangle, and it says underneath falling rocks, and inside there's pictures of falling rocks. What am I meant to do with that information? It may as well just say random accidents ahead. Life's a lottery, be lucky. I was by the seaside recently, and I was thinking about rising sea levels. And this guy next to me was throwing stones into the water. I thought, that's not helping. If anything, you're making matters worse. Well, thanks very much. I always feel slightly guilty at the beginning of a show because you've all clapped and whooped. I've done nothing so far. I just walked from over there. It was easy. Anyone could have done it. You could have done it. Maybe not you, but most people could have done it. I always feel quite guilty because you've given so much, I've done so little. What if I'm shit? Don't panic, I'm not. Close to comedy genius. The Guardian. It's a newspaper for teachers, I don't expect you to understand. I am Jimmy Carr, off the telly. I know that because people come up to me and say, Jimmy Carr, off the telly. That tends to be less a description, more of a request. Fine. Right, let's hear it from the men of Birmingham. Give us a shout, the men. Or specifically, give me a shout, the heterosexual men of Birmingham. Same voice is just a little bit lower because you've got... Have you had the conversation, the pub conversation, the classic pub conversation, if you had to sleep with a man, who would it be? Have you had that conversation? You had that conversation? You haven't had that conversation? I will save you the embarrassment, so I'll tell you what happens in that conversation. So you're in the pub with a mate, having a drink, talking about love and life, whatever. Out of nowhere, your mate goes, if you had to sleep with a man, who would it be? Well, I wouldn't, so it wouldn't be anyone. But if you had to, who would it be? Well, I wouldn't, so it wouldn't be anyone. But if you had to, though, well, I wouldn't, though, so no one. But if you had to, well, I wouldn't. But if you had to sleep with a man, who would it be? Well, I wouldn't. But if you had to, though, well, I wouldn't, though, so no one. But if you had to, well, I wouldn't. But if you had to, though, Well, I wouldn't, though. But if you had to, though, well, I wouldn't. But if you had to, I wouldn't. If you had to, I wouldn't. If you had to sleep with a man, who would it be? I wouldn't. But if you had to, I wouldn't. But if you had to, though, well, I wouldn't, though. But if you had to, I wouldn't. If you had to, well... I got accused of being gay the other day. I was on stage doing a gig and I had a pink shirt on and someone accused me of being gay. I went, gay, it's a gay shirt, pink shirt, gay. I can't think of a more masculine colour for a shirt than a pink shirt, because a pink shirt shows the world you don't know how to put a wash on. What could be more masculine? I once went out with a girl who was so fat, it felt like I was two-timing her. I'm joking, I didn't go out with her. The big problem they talk about these days is childhood obesity. They talk about that all the time, childhood obesity. And they say these kids are greedy. They're not greedy. They've just got slow metabolisms and very fast, chip-eating hands. There are 1 million obese children in Britain today. Do you realise if they all jumped up and down at the same time, they might lose a little bit of fucking weight? Breastfeeding in public, does that annoy anyone else? Annoys me. The baby's head gets in the way. You can't see a fucking thing, can you? Now, no one likes having their parenting technique criticised, but would you agree with me that 7 is too old to be in a pram? Would you agree with that? Yeah. Would you have said anything? Because I said as much. It's a wheelchair, is it? Who's got kids? Give us a shout. Who hasn't got kids? What are you saying, happier? Which is weird, because we're not trying to get anyone to join our gang. People with kids never stop going on about it, especially when you're my age. People with kids, join us. Join us. We're so happy. You don't look happy, you look tired. Join us. Who's going to take care of you when you're old? Medical professionals. I've got to go now. I've got to have 12 hours sleep. Not even tired. Of course, the pill revolutionised the way that women control their bodies. Before its invention, our poor nanas had to take it up the wrong one. Or face falling down the stairs. In a hot bath, drunk on gin with a coat hanger chaser. My best friend's wife is having a baby, and I asked him, I said, what do you want, a boy or a girl? And he thought about it. He said, I wanted a blowjob. Environmentalists tell us that every day an area the size of Wales is destroyed. Why is it never Wales? So are there Welsh people in this evening? You're from Wales? Well, don't worry. Do you know what the most common crime is in Wales? No. Hang on, I've got to ask someone about her foo-foo. It's a long time for a pee, you all right? You're fine? You sure? Is that better? Bless you. Sorry, I was just talking to your friend about being from Wales. Do you know what the most common crime is in Wales? Have a guess. What guess? Sheep shagging? Well, that's rather insulting, isn't it? And to add insult to injury, you're wrong. It's not sheep shagging. It's actually ram raiding. The second most common crime is having sex with a minor. If anyone's offended, just look for the other meaning. You'll be fine. Now, listen, this isn't what the show is about at all, but I was briefly going to tell you about a thing that I'm doing at the moment. Means a lot to me, and I was just going to take a moment of your time. I've started a little charity, just a little thing of my own, and it's going great, but I didn't want to put anything up on big screens or put any leaflets out or anything in the programme. I was just going to briefly tell you what the charity that I've set up does, and then if you want to get involved, you could just Google it. But it's not really what the evening's about. The evening's just about having a laugh, but I thought I might just... Sorry, I'm wittering on now. But you could just look it up and Google it if you want to get... You know, I'm just saying, you know, because you could be proactive rather than me sort of forcing it down, because people get bored of that. OK, what we do is we send obese children to the rainforest. I don't mind you tittering, because we're already seeing fabulous results. And if you want to be part of that, it's feedthetigers.com. Their faces light up. Not the children, obviously, they're fucking petrified. Although it is quite ironically funny seeing them trying to run away. He's a bit late for cardiovascular now. You should have thought of that when you were waddling to Greg's, you fat fuck. Let's try and lighten the mood, shall we? Let's lighten the mood a little bit. When I read about that Austrian fella... it was bound to come up, wasn't it? When I read about Joseph Fritzl building a cellar under his house to imprison his own daughter for 24 years so he could systematically torture and abuse 2 generations of his own family, here's my first thought. This is how middle class I am. My first thought was, I bet he didn't have planning permission for that. Oh, we'd all like to add some square footage, but there are some fucking rules, mate. Has anyone in here ever tried any DIY? Give us a shout if you've ever tried any kind of DIY, yes? Yeah. Most everyone's tried. Can anyone who's ever tried DIY, hand on heart, tell me they don't have a little bit of admiration for the work that Fritzl did? It's not easy building stuff, is it? It's not easy to be a tidy workman. I'm not saying I approve of what he did down there, but he built a cellar without his wife even fucking noticing. I'm just saying credit where credit is due. A round of applause for a Fritzl joke. You may be my kind of town. He was described in the Daily Express newspaper as the most evil man in Austrian history. Not even close. Hitler. Exam standards are coming down in this country. But focus on the positive. We do very well in pregnancy tests. Right, let's try some rude stuff, see how we get along. Lady wind. Queefing. Fanny farts. The expulsion of air from the vajayjay during sexual intercourse. A grunt. There are 2 main responses when a queef occurs. Some couples, it doesn't matter how gnarly or squelchy the noise, they deny the queef. Did you hear anything? No, I didn't hear anything. And they move on. Some couples, it's a funny little noise, they have a little giggle, they move on. Not a problem. I like to go a third way. I like to pretend the vagina is talking to me. What's that? There's a boy trapped down a well. I like to think of myself as the vagina whisperer. What happened? Are you getting a phone call? There's a Scottish lady getting a phone call. I imagine the drugs are arriving any moment. All right. You switched it off and it rang anyway. Well, I'm not buying that fucking story. Don't worry, it's okay. It's only a phone. Don't feel bad. It's a what, sorry? It's a late alarm to come and see me. Or come and see me an hour fucking late. You're not the one I booked for the interval, are you? Do you think strippers get home after a hard day undressing and think, oh, more work? Da, 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 da. I realise that's the worst mime of a stripper. I'd love to go to a strip club where they just went like that. That's my vagina. Have a butcher's. Show's over. I've discovered, incidentally, the worst thing you can say when a stripper is performing. I was at my friend Toby's stag do, and we booked a stripper, but she fell through on the day because she was unwell. So the agency sent us a replacement. Anyway, there's 20 of us in the basement of a restaurant in West London watching this girl do some fairly grisly things, which I will come to later. And Lee turned to Harvey, and he whispered, and I don't know where he learnt to whisper, I'm guessing in a fucking helicopter. Because we all heard. He went, yeah, I heard the fit one let us down. It echoed round the room. That's how big her vagina was. She was doing some fairly horrible things. She was doing a thing with a bottle. I was disgusted. Red wine with fish? Fame is weird. I'm at a very weird level of fame now where people come up to me and say hello to me in the street. Yeah, it's very flattering, it's lovely, but then they'll insult me when they're talking to me. They'll say things like, "You're not as fat as you look on TV." What do you mean not as fat? Well, this is my favourite. They go, "You're actually quite funny." Like they're saying, "Imagine my surprise, you're not totally fucking shit." So I'm flattered they've said hello, but then I'm angry they've insulted me. So I'm angry and flattered at the same time. Those are weird emotions to have at the same time. So I try and do the same thing back. I say, "Well, you're a super little I keep on getting mistaken for Alan Carr. So what I've done is I've stopped sucking men off. That was my hand symbol for no more cock. I don't quite know what that round of applause was for. Is that you thinking that's a very funny joke, or homosexuality is just about willpower? I like getting a blowjob off the missus. I don't know if you get this. I don't know if you get a blowjob off my missus, but the thing I like about oral sex from my partner, I think the thing most men enjoy about oral sex from our partners, not anything sexual, ladies, it's the peace and quiet. Ladies, if you've ever been going down on a guy and he's gone, that's not your technique, that's not the sound of his sexual ecstasy. That is the sound of a man not being asked a question. I would think about adoption. I don't have kids, but if I had kids, I think I would have them adopted. People criticise Madonna, but the kid she adopted, fair trade. Have we got any dads in? Give a shout all the dads. Did you cry at the birth of your first child? Oh, very few of you admitting it. A lot of guys are embarrassed by the fact they cried at the birth of their first child. I think it's because they don't quite know why they cried. There's different theories. Some people think it's the biological bond with the child that you meet for the first time. But that can't be it. You're only meeting it for the first time. It's not like the mother that's been carrying inside her. That's more of a biological thing. With the guy, no. Some people think men cry at the birth of their first child because of the gift that's been bestowed on them by the woman in their life. That would make them tear up? No. I think the real reason most men cry at the birth of their first child is because they see what the little shit's done to the missus. Oh, no. Now she's got a vaginus. Now, I'm afraid that's almost all I've got time for this evening, ladies and gentlemen. There's just one thing left that I'd like to do, which is go through some Jimmy Carr merchandise, if we could just lock the doors. I've gone for some comedy T-shirts, which I'd like to show you. They're just up here. Actually, you know, the comedy T-shirt, it's an underutilised medium, in my opinion. Hang on. What? It's a perfectly normal thing to do. Sell a bit of wear, you know, the Rolling Stones do it, why not me? This is the first one that I did. It's, I'm a stupid, what do you think? It says I'm a stupid, so you can wear it, and the person next to you... You know, it's got jimmycarr.com on the sleeve. I'm a stupid. On the back it says, the National Association of Special Needs Carers. Who thought that was it? It says, my girlfriend went on a UN-sponsored trip to investigate child labour in the Far East. And all I got was this lousy T-shirt. See, there's a very serious issue there. Children as young as 10 are working, you know, 80 hours a week in sweatshops in the Far East, stitching trainers. I wouldn't mind, but it's the workmanship that suffers. This one's rather predictable, but it's kind of fun as well. It's the Christian Alliance Against Bad Language. Can fuck off. Got another religious one now, but for a reason. This is the best-selling T-shirt ever in the world. Jesus loves you. It's the most popular T-shirt ever. Jesus loves you. He's not in love with you. I was going to go for... He's not fussy about looks. I thought no. Incidentally, if we're all God's children, what's so special about Jesus? This is love hurts. It's a nice sentiment, isn't it? Love hurts. Sort of shows a sensitive side. Love hurts. Try a lubricated finger. This takes a little bit of explaining. It's True Love Waits is the slogan. It's the slogan of the Promise Keepers. They're an organisation in America that believe in holding on to their virginity and chastity until marriage. Britney Spears was a member. I think there's some footage of her leaving on the internet. Anyway, their slogan's True Love Waits. I thought, True Love Waits is such a lovely slogan, it deserves a T-shirt. True Love Waits. Pulls out and comes on her tits. Well, this is the last one I'm going to leave you with this, ladies and gentlemen. It's been a pleasure talking to you this evening. Obviously, this is it's a lovely T-shirt. World's Best Dad. I don't know, are there any dads in? Yeah, this may be a nice thing for you to wear around the house. World's Best Dad. Nice, you wear that with pride. World's Best Dad. I fucked your mum. Has anyone got any other questions this evening? Anything else you'd like to know? Why do I get my suit? I get all my clothes from High and Mighty. It's not to do with my size or shape, it's my attitude. This is actually a suit for an 8-year-old giant. I don't know why that's a giant. It's more like a Thunderbird. You get the idea. Any other thoughts, questions? How much money am I making from this gig? Well, I'll put it in terms that you'll understand, sir. 100 money. Go on, what's wrong? What was your question?
Did you lose your virginity?
What age did I lose my virginity? It was the 20th century. No, I lost my virginity. I was 26 when I lost my virginity. Now, I realise there'll be grandmothers in Glasgow thinking, well, that can't be right. Did he not have a sister? No, I was 26, but I'll tell you why I was 26. Because I was Christian growing up. I had an imaginary friend that I used to talk to. I know it sounds mental now, but I did. So that was part of it, but partly I wanted it to be special. Well, not special, but consensual. And then I got to 26 and I thought, fuck it. How much is a train ticket to Dundee? Any other thoughts? What, sorry? What's my favourite song? I would say probably Sweet Caroline. Where it began, I can't begin to know it, but then I know it's growing strong. First there was spring, then spring became the summer. Who'd have known it can... Well, sorry, I could have just gone on there. Hands, touching hands, reaching out, touching you, touching me. Da, da, da. Sweet Caroline, ba, ba, ba. Good times never seem so good. I'd be inclined, ba, 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 to believe they never would. There, I'll do that. My favourite song. Yeah, do some karaoke halfway through, why not? I like that, and I also like Baby Got Back by Sir Mix-a-Lot. I like big butts and I cannot lie. You other brothers can't deny. I've got a cautionary tale for the men in the room. This concerns, you know, the kind of ability that men have got to say something immediately. They don't think about it, just walk straight out. I didn't know I'd said it. They kind of think it and then talk it exactly the same time. This happened to two friends of mine, Dave and Susan. They've been going out for years and years and years, 10 years, since college. Susan went home for the weekend to see her parents. They had Sunday lunch together, they got a little bit tipsy over lunch. Nothing the matter with that, you would think. Lovely. All the way up to Hull to see them. Got drunk over Sunday lunch. Somehow the topic of wife swapping came up. And her parents, for a joke, said, oh, we were terrible for that back in the 70s. Oh, keys in a bowl at a party. Oh, terrible. Oh, always doing it. We don't know who your real dad is. They said that to their daughter. Now, she was fine at the time because she was drunk at a lunch. But then on the train ride home, she starts to feel a bit grimy and horrible and, oh. And eventually she works herself up into a real state. She thinks, well, maybe it was a joke on me. Maybe they were joking, but I was the butt of the joke. Maybe they did do that in the 70s. Maybe he's not my real dad. Oh, God. Oh, God. She got into Dave, and of course what Dave should have done is taken her in his strong, loving arms. Hey, it's just a silly joke. I'll pop the kettle on. I'll make you a cup of tea. I'll run you a bath. Shh, 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 shh. That is what he should have done. that's not what he did. That's not what he said. What he said, without skipping a beat, I've killed an African child. But what he said, without skipping a beat, straight away, who got your mum? Let's talk about gifts, because gifts are very important when you're in a relationship. They show your partner how you feel about them. This is interesting. My girlfriend suggested last Christmas that we limit ourselves to £20 for each other's presents. But I wasn't thinking about spending that kind of money. Obviously, if you're buying gifts for a woman, it's pretty easy. Just go for the classics. You know, champagne, chocolates, flowers. Unless you're dating an alcoholic bulimic with hay fever. I buy my girlfriend flowers every week, because I really fancy the girl in the florist. I've told the girl in the florist my girlfriend's dead. I thought it was a good idea at the time. It slightly backfired. You try explaining to your other half why you got her a wreath 4 weeks in a row. Obviously, different flowers express different emotions. So, for example, red flowers say passion. Yellow flowers say love. And self-raising flower says, make me a cake. My girlfriend said recently, she said, we need some romance in our lives. So I took the hint, I booked a hotel, flowers, chocolate, champagne, petals on the bed, the full bit. Ended up having incredible sex. Of course, it turned out she wanted me to take her. What's the fucking point of that? I live with her. She'll be there when I get back. Put the kettle on, love, and fucking knackered. I'm not saying I feel cheated, but when we got together, she said to me, I'm very liberal about sex. I don't care what people do, as long as they're consenting adults and no one gets hurt. There's always a catch, isn't there? No one gets hurt. Consenting. Adults. Basically, no fun. Right, some sex tips. Let's try and be grown up about this, yeah? Gentlemen, if you're having sex with a new partner for the first time, never take a run-up. I know what you like, you want to make a good first impression, but you don't want to actually leave a dent. A lot of women don't like it if you leave your socks on during sex, but I always leave one on because I don't want to get her pregnant. Some women don't like to have the lights on, but it can't be helped in my case because they come on automatically when I open the car door. And then they stay on for 20 seconds, so it is over. This isn't advice, this is more of a reminder, and it's a reminder to men in long-term relationships, because standards can slide as a relationship goes on. Just a reminder for the men in long-term relationships, it is never acceptable, yeah, to answer the phone when lovemaking. Even if you hilariously pick up by saying, I can't talk now, I'm going into a tunnel. Apparently, one of the biggest fears is the unknown, like, I don't know. Apparently, taking the dog for a walk is a good way to find a woman. But what if you want to find a woman who's still alive? Did you read this? Did you read about this American man that's suing his ex-wife to get back the kidney he donated to her while they were married? That is taking the piss. My father always used to say to me, there's no such word as can't. I said, no, I called you a People claim to be into recycling, but you should see their faces when you rinse out a condom. I do a bit of baking. Does anyone else bake cookies and cakes and things? I do a bit of baking. My specialty is a brownie with nuts, which I call a scout. Come on, where's your sense of fun? Do you know what you're meant to do if you're attacked by a bear? Does anyone know?
Shit on yourself.
I have a feeling that might be quite involuntary. That sounds like advice given by a forest ranger trying to kind of go, well, no, that's the procedure. I saw the bear coming at me, I thought, I suppose you could try and piss on it. Although I think if you whipped it out in front of a bear, it would think, oh, an hors d'oeuvre. Any other suggestions as to what to do if you're attacked by a bear?
Make yourself big.
Make yourself big? Yes, make yourself big. Go and grab something to eat. Work out a little. Maybe buy one of those puffer jackets. Get back to the bear as soon as you possibly can. Do you mean go like that? You're like an advert for natural selection. There's a bear coming at us, don't worry, I'll handle this. I imagine the bear would think, oh look, Monster Munch. Look, novelty food. Any other suggestions as to what to do if you're attacked by a bear? Play dead is exactly the right answer. Do you know why you're meant to play dead? It's to get used to how you're going to be in a minute. Just so there's less mess. A snake bite isn't going to kill you, unless, of course, you're allergic to cider. Well, that's a joke for the goths. Think about it, they're the ones that need cheering up. Should we talk about Gillian McKeith, the woman from You Are What You Eat, begging the question, what did you eat, the witch from Rent-A-Ghost? Some people like her, some people don't. I think she's a fucking disgrace. Because what does she do for a living? She humiliates women. She takes a middle-aged woman who's let herself go a bit. She's a bit plump, big-boned. She's not a danger to shipping. She's not hurting anyone, and she humiliates her on national television. Initially, she goes, this is what you eat in a week, you fat cow. She doesn't say fat cow, but you can see it in her beady little eyes. This is what you eat in a week. Has anyone noticed how that table of food she shows the big fat fatty is exactly the same as the one Kerry Katona shows us all in the Iceland ad? And then, the piece de resistance. Shit into this. What? Like it's the most natural thing in the world. She goes, shit into this. Then she's got the audacity, the brass neck of the woman, to go, your poo's a bit smelly. It's made of shit, Gillian. I think I may have solved this riddle. The reason that is a little bit reeky is it just fell out of her ass. It's still warm, you fucking maniac. I do talk about sex a lot in my show. I talk about sex all the time on stage. And a friend called me on it recently. Came to see the gig, and he went, you talk about sex all the time. Are you obsessed? I said, well, I'm not obsessed. But sex is the great universal topic for comedy. It's still quite taboo to talk about it openly in public. Everyone's interested, everyone cranes forward, and there's a lot of tension around sex. And where you find that kind of tension, that's also a great place to find laughter. So sex is a great topic for comedy. But it's difficult to stand in front of you good people and talk about sex without sounding crude. So to try and mitigate that, to try and alleviate that, this evening, if I refer to a vagina at any point, I'll be calling it a twinkle cave. As in, so there I was, licking out a twinkle cave, while she deep-throated my tummy banana. It's nice to be nice, isn't it? I saw a woman wearing a top, it said super dry on the front. I said, have you thought about lubricants or HRT? Maybe a little bit of Aussie charm? Are you familiar with the term Aussie charm? Just means... Australian charm, you're welcome. Very pleasing look from the ladies of London as if to say, well, I didn't know that had a name, but yes, that does happen. I don't know if anyone's got this. There are lots of couples in this evening. How many couples do we have? Quite a few. By show of hands. How many do we have by shouting out? Hundreds. Brilliant. I'm wondering, does anyone have this arrangement in their relationship? It's becoming ever more common now for couples to have an arrangement whereby they're totally faithful to each other, but they've got a clause whereby if one of them was to meet a certain celebrity, they would be allowed to stray. Has anyone got that going on in their relationship? Who have you got?
You.
Right. I noticed that you're sitting next to a lady. You're going to do what when you go home? She's going to kill you? Right. Or strap one on and fuck you, certainly. One or the other. Anyone else got one? You've got one. Who have you got? Jim Carrey. All right. He might be up for it. And who's your boyfriend got? Anything I'm not bothered? What? Sorry? Anything good looking? What, bit of a change? Yeah, lovely. You can't say that. The reason I mention it is because I've got an arrangement with my girlfriend whereby if I ever get the opportunity to sleep with Kylie Minogue, she can fuck off. Are you all aware of what snowballing is, the sexual practice snowballing? Yeah. One bloke down. Who was that down there? Quite proud of that, well done. Everyone else, none the while. Okay, well, I'll explain. It says something about you. Snowballing is a sexual practice where having administered oral sex, your partner doesn't spit or swallow, so much as return to sender via a kiss. Oh, you're looking shocked and appalled as I explain that to you. Let me assure you, I found out the hard way. And it does raise an interesting moral dilemma. Should you spit or swallow? Well, if you really love yourself. So I can see some friends of mine up there, and you're explaining that to your mum. Brilliant. Oh, what a brilliant day out that will be. What a lovely drive home. So this snowballing thing. Marvellous. Gentlemen, if you're in a long-term relationship, you'll be familiar with this conversation. It's the conversation that happens 5 minutes after you think you've gone to sleep. You know the one I mean? TV's off, lights are off, books are down, everyone's washed their teeth, you're in bed, night, night, love you, night, night. 5 minutes after that, just as you're drifting off into sleep, the most insecure voice you've ever heard in your life, out of the darkness, if we broke up, would we still be friends? I said, what do you mean, still? I bought my girlfriend some lingerie. It was her birthday, and she'd hinted at the stuff she wanted. So I went to, I think it was Agent Provocateur, for these fancy kind of set of pants and bra and stuff. Well, quite right. So she was quite impressed. She opened it up on her birthday morning. She was really kind of into it, and she went, oh, these are beautiful, darling. But they're not my size. I said, don't worry, I've had a chat with a woman in the shop, and she says, you can have an operation. I knew I had to lose some weight in the last year. It's a very sad day for any man when his girlfriend suggests he comes on his own tits. You ever done that? Have you ever mixed up a fat person and a pregnant person? It's embarrassing, isn't it? Especially if it's a fella. I had a fat girl come up to me recently after a gig. Well, I say a fat girl. She was either fat or 18 months pregnant. She was big. Bubbly, you might say. Not with an effervescent personality that filled a room, no, shaped like a bubble. She was a comfort eater. I don't mean she was eating for emotional comfort. She was eating till she was comfortable to sit on. She wasn't a size 0, she was a shape 0. Anyway, she came up to me after that. Well, she pretty much surrounded me. And she said, you're not meant to use the term fat. I said, you're not meant to eat cake for breakfast. You're not meant to deep fry Mars bars. And gravy isn't an energy drink. And if I can't say fat, because I wasn't using fat in a judgmental way, I was just purely being descriptive on stage, I was using the word fat. Apparently I can't use the word fat now. If I can't say fat, what term does she prefer? Chunky monkey wobble slob? Fatty boom batty? Or blubbernaut? And if you're offended by any of those terms, how about a salad? I'll tell you what I'm a bit, not distressed at, but a little bit upset. The term real woman. I used to really like the term real woman. It meant a voluptuous, fuller-figured, curvy, beautiful, buxom, plump lady. You would say she's a real woman. It doesn't mean that anymore, does it? Real woman is now a euphemism for chunky monkey wobble slob. You say she's a real woman when you mean she's a really fat woman. She's dangerously close to being two women. Have you ever fucked a girl so fat you think it might count as a threesome? And I tell you when you know you're with a fat lass, when you find yourself in the throes of passion thinking, is that boob or arm? I'll give it a lick just to be sure. A lot of people think horizontal stripes make them look fat. No. What makes you look fat is being fat. The only horizontal stripes making you look fat are the ones in Viennetta, lasagna and sponge cake. I had a fat girl come up to me after a show a couple of weeks ago, a very nice girl. She said, look, I really enjoyed the jokes, but I'm a fat woman. How do you think I feel? I said, squidgy. Is anyone married in? Who's married? Yeah? Well, what's the longest someone's been married?
2 days.
2 days? Who's been married for 2 days? You got married on?
Friday.
On Friday? Well, congratulations. Well done you. And can I ask, is she pregnant or is this a proper one? Sorry?
Done that already.
You already have a child, and now you got married? Get out. Get out of my house. Well, that's a lovely thing. Oh, well, congratulations. Thanks for coming. Wow. You know, you've married that guy. He looks like a great guy, looks amazing, and clearly he set the bar pretty low early on. Where are we going on our honeymoon? We're going to see Jimmy Carr live. Well, well done. You know, good luck with it, is all I'm saying. Good luck. Because we all know a third of marriages end in divorce. I don't want to put a damper on things, but a third of marriages end in divorce, and they're the lucky ones. The others are dying. I'd rather go to jail than get married. I have thought this through, by the way. I'd rather go to the jail than get married. But, you know, if you murder someone, that's the worst thing you could do. You murder someone, you get a life sentence. You're out in 12 years. Hey! Whereas this, life means life. And in your average marriage, as opposed to prison, there is significantly less anal sex. See if you think this is romantic. Really, I'm asking the ladies. Do you think this is romantic? I've got a friend, she's getting married at the end of the summer, and her fiancé has designed the wedding ring. He's quite a talented artist. Picked out the diamond when he was down in South Africa. Quite a talented artist, done sketches, taken them to a jeweller in Hatton Garden who's putting the whole project together for him. That's romantic, isn't it, ladies? Yes. Yeah. I think it almost makes up for the fact that she's clearly marrying a homosexual. She's going to have an amazing ring, not much of a wedding night. I imagine it'll be something along the lines of, come to bed, darling. I'm just going to walk the dog in the park. We don't have a dog. I'll be in the park. While we're on the side, is anyone in favour of gay marriage? Who's in favour of gay marriage? Yeah. You're by shouting out, who's in favour of gay marriage? Yes. I'll tell you why you're wrong. Gay marriage will inevitably lead to gay divorce, and that will be bitchy. Tiny little things irritate me in life. I don't know if you get this, but really quite trivial things annoy me. You know when you go into a fish and chip shop, let's say on a Friday, right? And the guy in an all too chirpy voice, it's the chirpiness that gets me, goes, as you walk in, he goes, chips will be 5 minutes. What? What do you mean the chips are going to be 5 minutes? Did you not think I was going to order chips? It's a chip shop. The clue's very much in the name. This is the one scenario you really should have been prepared for. It's like when you go into a Greggs or any high street bakery. Go into any high street bakery at 4 o'clock in the afternoon and they will say, in the same voice, wherever you go in the country, they'll go, we've run out of rolls. And then they'll explain it, they'll go, loads of people came in at lunch and had rolls. Now we've run out. Like there was nothing they could do. I sometimes get it in Starbucks. Do you go into Starbucks? I love Starbucks, I love the posh coffee. You walk in there, though, at the end of the day, and they'll go, we've turned the coffee machine off. We'll turn it back on, fuck knuckle. I didn't come in for a chat, I want a fucking coffee. I sometimes get it in department stores at the end of the day. You know, if you're in a big department store at the end of the day, you'll get from behind the counter quite a snooty voice. Excuse me, we're closed. You find yourself thinking, well, how did I get in here? Am I a burglar? I don't want to be a burglar. No, I thought what we might do this evening, Birmingham, obviously you've all come out to see the show this evening. I'm very grateful for that. I love my job. I love the fact you come out to see me live. But we're all sort of friends here, and you've bought tickets to come and see me at the show. So I tend not to get heckled in the way that I used to get heckled when I used to play the clubs. When I used to play the clubs, you were unannounced. The venue was bigger than the name, so people would come along, they wouldn't be invested. If they didn't like it, they would shout rude things out. I used to love that, proper aggressive heckling. I thought, well, why don't we? Because people tend not to do it at these kind of gigs because people don't want to fuck up the evening for themselves or for anyone else. Hold your horses just 1 second. People tend, one notable exception, people tend not to want to fuck the gig up. But I thought it's quite nice, it's quite a fun thing, heckles. So why don't we have a heckle amnesty, a little 2-3 minutes where you can just fill your boots. If you've got something abusive to shout, have at it. Have you actually got Tourette's? That was so quick. Cunt, fuck bum. And fuck bum, that's such a weird thing to shout. Fuck bum. Like the rudest words you know. Fuck, cunt bum. Any other heckles? What, sorry? Peter Kay was sold out, so you had to come here. Yeah. Unlucky. I bet he wouldn't have called you a cunt. Unfortunately, I'm not Peter Kay. Cunt. It's a very different kind of show. Peter's show's good too. Any other heckles? My crisps tasted rubbish. Oh, no, you didn't. Oh, no, you didn't. I became Latino there for a second. No, you didn't. Yeah, I did. I had crisps. Did you see I had crisps? Jimmy Con Carne crisps. The good people at Walker's, for comic relief, they brought out a flavour of my crisps, and it was me and Al Murray and Frank Skinner and Stephen Fry. And then they made these crisps, and every packet they sold, they gave 5 pence to the starving people in Africa. And I said to them, why don't you just send them the fucking crisps? It's got to make more sense, hasn't it? Because they can't be as fussy about the flavours. If you're starving, you're fine, aren't you? Well, these are a bit, nah, fair enough. Any other heckles? When's the comedy on? When's the comedy on? Really? What's your name, sir? What's your name? David. David? What's your favourite colour, David?
Blue.
Blue, okay. Seems like the fairest way to deal with you, David. There are so many things I could say. Number between 1 and 8, David.
6.
6. Okay, and you said to me, when's the comedy on? Well, it says, if you want my comeback, you'll have to scrape it off your mum's teeth. These things don't lie, David. These things don't lie. Nah, I'm kidding. She swallowed the lot. Wow. Any others? What, sorry? I've got a big nose. What are you, fucking retarded? I mean, I literally don't have a big nose. That's a weird that's like an insult you've heard someone else use. And you've gone, I got a big fucking laugh. That's going to work best with a comic with a big nose. What's your name, sir? Thomas. What do you do, Thomas? You're a student. What are you studying? Mathematics? Are you at school, Thomas? I don't know if we should continue this any further because it's starting to feel like grooming. Are you at school? Yeah, I'm at school. You got a big nose. I haven't. Any other heckles? Oh, what was that? That sounded good. Go on, what was that? What was it? I'm a paedophile. I was just fucking chatting to him. I've done nothing. Any others? Yes. Dad? Any other heckles? What, sorry? Posh prick. Posh prick seems a bit harsh. What's your name, sir? Miles. Miles. And you think I might be a bit posh? All right, Miles. What's your favourite colour? Blue. Seems like the fairest way to deal with this. You get some B-L-U-E. Number between 1 and 8, Miles. 4. All right. Ooh. It says if you've come as a you've won. Bit of good news. Any more for any more? Who the fuck has a side party? You're gonna kick yourself when I tell you. Me. Have you ever looked at a bill in a restaurant where it says service not included and thought, no, it wasn't, was it? I was staying in a hotel last week. I came down for breakfast. I said, I'll have a continental breakfast, as is my wont. The waiter said to me, what room are you in? I said, it's the dining room. When I was a kid, I was never scared of the Daleks. I used to be spooked out by the Daleks, but whenever they'd come on, I'd just go, well, if they ever came here, I'd just go upstairs. They can't get me if I go upstairs. But now when I watch Doctor Who, I'm petrified. Because of all the wheelchair access we put in everywhere. They can get anywhere they fucking like now. We're sitting ducks. If my grandmother knew how much I spent on her funeral, she would be spinning in her ditch. When I was a kid, I didn't want to imagine my parents having sex, so I'd watch them from the wardrobe. Can closet gay agoraphobics ever come out? How can you possibly explain the concept of death to a young child? Well, you need a hammer and a hamster. He's not gone to live on a farm, has he? He's all over the fucking shop. You know that disclaimer they put at the end of films? You know the one that says the characters and the events in this film are purely fictitious? Any relation to real characters and events is purely coincidental? Yeah? Do they really need that on Lord of the Rings? Is anyone watching that thinking, this is a brilliant documentary? I might think about going to New Zealand on my holidays. But wait, no, I don't want it ruined by Saruman, he's Orc Army. Your hair? What, I'm just saying. I like the Spice Girls as much as the next man, but... I can't help noticing you've got a tattoo on your... Well, it's your boob, isn't it, really? It sort of draws the eye. What is that, exactly? It's a rose on your... As if boobs aren't fun enough as they are. She's thought, I'll tell you, I'll brighten these things up. No fella's going to like these. What do guys like? They like flowers, don't they? Yeah, I'll get a picture of a flower. Did you not think, what do you like? What kind of thing? You look like the sort of bloke that like cars and guns and tanks. Get a nice tattoo of a tank on your tip. Lovely. He could be, you know, and going, oh, is that a Sherman? Because flowers, unless he's secretly gay, and I'll be honest, there's a lot of earrings and spiky hair. Good, fine. A great way to warm up pensioners in winter is cremation. Do you know you lose 50% of your taste buds by the time you're 75, so it is okay for your nana to live on cat food? My nana, my mum's mum, used to make me a jumper every Christmas. Did anyone else have that? She used to make me a jumper every Christmas. Much better than the ones in the shops. No. No, it isn't. remember one year she made me this burgundy monstrosity, sleeves way too long, and in the front she'd embroidered, "Blacks go home." I said, "I'm not wearing that. It's burgundy." "And the sleeves are too long, you crazy racist hooer." Are there any couples in this evening? Give us a shout, the couples. Oh, lots of couples in tonight. This is a bit silly, I think, but for Valentine's, I got my girlfriend sex vouchers as her present. I didn't realise they were transferable. Turns out they accept them at her work. You get to the stage in a long-term relationship where you want to experiment sexually, but, you know, it can be awkward. And what if she finds out? I'm 10 years into a relationship now. Anyone beat that? Anyone longer than 10 years? Yes. What's the longest we got in the room? 13. 13? 26. Anyone more than 26? 28? More than 28? How long? Sorry? You've been together for 43 years? I think. Come on, 43 years. Now, I don't know what it's like after 43 years. I think that's an extraordinary commitment, especially in this day and age. That is quite something. But I don't know if it's the same for you, because I've only been together with my girl for 10 years, but things have got quite predictable in the bedroom. Now, when I lower my entire ball bag into her mouth, she is pretty much guaranteed to wake up. Same? Oh, you couldn't see that? He just went, yeah, same. You look worried on their behalf. They've been married 43 years. Don't panic. They've tried everything. What's your relationship with them? How do you know them? That's your mum and dad? Oh. That's nice. Well, I hope the image of your dad teabagging your mum hasn't... I for one... I don't know about looking your parents in the eyes again. I don't think you'll be able to drink tea. Hi. Shit, sorry. This will be hard for you to believe. I used to be a gentleman. I didn't used to talk about my sexual exploits, even with close friends. Never kiss and tell. Always just keep it private. It's private life for a reason. Private. Now, I'll talk about anything. It's great for me because it's a catharsis, but also I think it's good for everyone because you talk about things, everyone feels a bit more open and a bit more normal because, you know, there's weird things. Here's an example of an intimate detail I don't mind sharing with you. My girlfriend can't have orgasms during intercourse, but it's not a problem because I can. I gave my girlfriend an orgasm and she spat it back in my face. Well, what I'd like to do now, ladies and gentlemen, is tell you what this show is actually about. I've had an extraordinary 12 months. I've had a life-changing experience. I was a very cynical man, and I didn't really have any religion in my life, and I've let spirituality in the last 12 months, and it's been extraordinary. So this evening, what I'd really like to do is to test... I'm joking, there's no God. Grow up. Unless, of course, you're Muslim, in which case there definitely is a God. I'm not a fucking idiot. Seriously, I don't mind upsetting the Church of England. What are they going to do? Hold a fate? I'm sure there are Christians out there in the audience now thinking if I get hold of that Jimmy Carr, I'm going to bloody well forgive him. Creationists, the right-wing Christians, creationists believe every word Genesis says. I don't even think Phil Collins is a good drummer. Feminists say, and you may agree with this, you may not, feminists say, a woman's work is never done. Maybe. They got themselves organised a bit better. It's a bit of an icy stare you give me there, madam. What you've got to understand is that's postmodern misogyny. That joke is, in fact, steeped in irony.
So don't you worry your pretty little head about it, love.
Hi, I'm Jimmy Carr, the guy you just saw in that video. Thanks for watching it, because somehow I get money from that. I don't know how. I don't know. Probably it filters through some sort of advert that you watched before you watch the video, maybe? Or maybe you subscribed. Anyway, thanks for watching it, and somehow that benefits me. And hopefully I'll see you at a live show at some point further down the sunny road. Good luck.